So I've chosen as the title of my presentation RWE and Energy Making Utopia Possible. Now, this is a slogan that I've borrowed from the Wuppertal Institute, and I thought it really fits well with what I think is possible in this sector and what RWE and Energy can achieve. And if you aren't familiar with the Wuppertal Institute, I strongly recommend visiting their website, Institute for Climate, Environment and Energy Studies, and potentially even possibility for Energy to collaborate with the Wuppertal Institute, as they have a lot of expertise in this area. I was able to visit the Institute this year as part of a project in my previous role, and I spoke with one of the directors of the Circular Economy department of the Institute. So it's extremely interesting work that they do on the energy transition. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll get both as I said, an insight into my ideas and where I think the sector could go, but also that you're inspired by the utopic vision that I will present to you. So do keep watching. So a little bit more about me. As I said, my name is Stefan Sandell, and I do consider myself to be an international citizen. I've lived across 3 continents and in 7 countries to date, so I'm certain that I'd fit well into any international team. And over the years, I've learnt several foreign languages, 5 of them in fact. Einschließlich Deutsch. Ja, ich lerne seit 1,5 Jahren Deutsch, weil Deutschland ein sehr wichtiges Land im Bereich der erneuerbaren Energien ist. Und ich würde mich sehr freuen, für ein deutsches Unternehmen zu arbeiten, da es eine große Chance wäre, meine Deutschkenntnisse weiter zu verbessern und mehr über das Land zu erfahren. So in case you don't speak German, I just said that I'm eager to work for a German company, as this would be a great opportunity for me to improve my German skills and also to learn more about Germany, which is obviously a really important country in the renewable energy sector. So my academic experience, I have a first-class honours degree from Loughborough University in International Studies. Subsequently studied a master's degree at Imperial College London in environmental technology. And after my degree, I gained over 1.5 years experience in several sustainability consultancies in London. I was headhunted to work for Alexander McQueen for a short project to put together their 2014 environmental sustainability report. But I was very eager to get international work experience as well in the sector, so that led me to take a role at Revergy in Seville in Spain, and they are an engineering, operations and maintenance consultancy for wind farms around the world. And my last position was with Television for the Environment, also based in London. I worked as a researcher and communications officer, and that was a really interesting role. I was able to get exposed to a wide range of sustainability topics, environmental topics, and conduct research and improve my communication skills. And whilst working at Television for the Environment, I came across RWE as the company, and the main context in which I heard about RWE was actually regarding the lignite coal extraction and the protests, now annual protest, and the Gelände protests. So quite a controversial topic, and one that's very provocative. RWE is normally, as you can see in the photo, quite villainized in environmental circles, accused of profiting from powering current electricity needs at the cost of the health of local people in Europe, and at the cost of a sustainable and secure future for Europeans or people around the world due to the climate breakdown caused by excessive carbon dioxide. But it's a slightly myopic vision given the phasing out of nuclear power in Germany, and the supply for electricity does need to be guaranteed through some means, and coming from the UK, where we the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. We've certainly burnt our fair share of coal in this country, and we saw how the coal mining communities were devastated really by the dismantling of their industry, with effects potentially still being felt to this day. Also, the most recent international climate change conference, COP24, which took place really in the heart of Poland's coal industry. And it was clear there that the future employment of the people working in the coal industry and those affected by the coal mining economy have to be taken into account. Similarly for the oil and gas industry. So the question is, how can employees in this industry be won over and the industry itself be supported in transitioning away from fossil fuels and into new industries? I think it's particularly important as the climate breakdown will affect everyone worldwide, including employees of RWE and communities in the coal mining industry. And it's my belief that industries in the developing world must take the lead, and Germany is phasing out coal. It's planned this year, 2019, is going to be a very important year for the transition. And so I was really delighted, therefore, to learn more about how RWE and Innogy are really moving heavily into renewable energy, and through the acquisition of E.ON's renewable energy assets. So it's obviously becoming a key part of RWE's future. And in the video they described the new RWE, and I thought, wow, this is a really potentially a great opportunity for even a rebranding of the name, given its association in some circles with fossil fuels. Potentially Renew as a new name to represent this new phase of the business. So I was delighted to see how it's evolving as a company, how Energy Consulting is involved, and how the company is really embracing the energy transition as a business opportunity. And I think it's not only an opportunity to be successful, profitable, but also to revitalize and strengthen local communities that have been affected by the closure of the fossil fuel industry. And RWE could easily position itself as I feel, a creator of communities. It has a reputation of destroying communities in order to expand the extraction of lignite coal. But as I will outline in this presentation, I really think that this company, this particular style of energy generation has a lot of potential in the energy transition. So I'll explain that a bit later. But let's just first take the example of onshore wind. So it's generally seen as the most profitable form of renewable energy. And so you could simply say, well, on the site of a open cast coal mine, why not just build a wind farm? And in some areas this might be possible. There might be these suitable wind conditions. So the main criticism or drawback of renewable energy is the inconsistency of the supply. Obviously the wind isn't always blowing at different strengths, or it might blow harder and longer than the grid requires at that time. So the storage and consistency of energy supply is a question that's of critical importance in this energy transition. And I came across the Max Burgel company, and I thought this was a really fascinating and ingenious invention, where they've actually embedded a storage reservoir for water at the base of the turbine, so that at times when the electricity demand is low, they can use the electricity created by the wind turbine to pump water into the storage reservoir, and that will then act as a micro hydro plant for local energy production at times when the wind isn't blowing. So it's one of the creative ways that the industry is creating new solutions. And The idea of water storage as a energy supply isn't new. Hydroelectricity has been around for a long time, and that sort of led me to think, well, maybe there's a potential actually for a mine, open cast coal mine, to be transformed into a reservoir, into a lake, and that would provide a lot of different opportunities and possibilities. And actually, this has already been achieved in Spain. The company Endesa has successfully converted and restored some open cast coal mines into biodiversity wetlands. And obviously, these are very attractive to local people and offer tourism opportunities as well. And where there's a body of water, there's quite probably the need to connect it in order to manage the water levels to other water bodies. And that might offer the opportunity for micro hydroelectricity to be produced from rivers flowing from this new reservoir. It could be part of the mine or an entire mine, depending on the suitability of the region. So there's a potential to have both wind power and micro hydropower in the same location, but potentially there are even more opportunities. The site that may not be suitable for a wind farm potentially could be suitable for a solar farm. And what opportunities are there? Well, you could build a solar farm, or you could keep the lake and put the solar farm on the lake with a floating solar farm. So these are in operation, a few of these around the world. So it's a tested technology. The bottom left, you can see green, what looks to be green algae or seaweed. Well, potentially there's also the opportunity to produce a fuel below water through the farming of seaweed. And this, again, is already being achieved in different countries around the world through farming seaweed or algae. And you can refine the algae to produce a biofuel, which can be used for local transport, or using anaerobic digestion to create natural gas and thereby producing electricity. And it has the added benefit of creating the digestate, can create a fertilizer. And this is one of the ways where local agricultural communities can benefit from industries nearby, and even the communities can benefit. And so giving local benefits to local communities, as I say, is one of the sort of the key aspects of this presentation. And what other ways do we have to do that? Well, in London here we have hydrogen buses, and where there's the production of renewable energy at a local level, offers the chance to produce hydrogen fuel, sustainable hydrogen fuel, through the electrolysis of water, separating hydrogen and oxygen molecules. And this hydrogen can be used as a fuel in vehicles, also in a fuel cell for heat. But the possibilities don't end there. If you have excess renewable electricity being produced, you could even capture CO2 from the air with direct air capture machines, and the CO2 captured has a variety of different uses, or potentially could be sequestered. So carbon dioxide can be mixed with water and potentially pumped underground in what used to be a mine area, and thereby storing CO2. So there's a potential for what used to be a CO2 emitting company like RWE to actually be a carbon negative company, to produce renewable energy and also to remove carbon dioxide from the air. And this, as I said, it could offer benefits to local communities, but generally to the whole world as a way to stave off climate breakdown. So I've outlined quite a few different types of renewable energy that are potentially possible on a former mine site. And this is sort of leads me to the next part, looking at communities more specifically. And I know that Germany is a country where this is quite advanced in several towns. They produce their own electricity, and there's a microgrid system. And the utility electricity provider companies of the future will be those who are able, the successful ones, are able to really connect to microgrids and help local people, local producers of electricity, and including industrial sources, to manage and store their electricity and to really help the microgrid to thrive. And I think this is really the future of energy supply, so diverse and smart, operating at a local level. And when we think about local production, this potentially could open up a new business opportunity for an energy company if we have a new attractive location such as a lake. That might lead to the possibility of creating new lakeside communities and financing highly energy efficient properties, which may be energy positive. If we could have properties built to passive house standard, where they're producing more energy than they consume, they're actually net contributors to the grid. This would be, again, another form for an energy company to diversify its portfolio, helping local people to manage the electricity that's produced. And it would be a very attractive location, I'm sure, for local people looking to buy a new property. And this could be, as I said, the renewed RWE, a chance for it to transform its reputation from one that would previously destroying communities to one that's constructing new, attractive, and sustainable communities. And the possibilities really are starting to open up, and we could even consider new entries in the leisure industry to be possible with the construction of a lake. And again, be very attractive to people looking for a new property to live near a lake. And again, new economic opportunities would be available to people. I mentioned farming, but and equally, obviously, the management of the local grid, but potentially also leisure and tourism. And this is the utopia that I alluded to at the start of the presentation. So a region where there's a variety of renewable energy sources being produced, economic activity on various fronts, high-tech smart grids, and the development of such a model could be expanded out into other countries, and this could be part of Energy Consulting's offering to help not only with energy services, but also the microgrid and their connection to communities. So it's a really exciting possibility. So to conclude, I really believe that RWE and Energy have the solutions to create a profitable, sustainable, and highly attractive mini utopia in NRW, North Rhine-Westphalia, and that a new transformational, courageous, and inspiring vision will make RWE, including Energy and E.ON, both local and global climate heroes, and help secure Germany's green energy industry as a global reference in the transition to a renewable energy economy with sustainable and prosperous communities. So I hope you've been inspired by my presentation. Perhaps you've learned something new if you're not working in this sector. And yes, it's a really exciting sector to be a part of. I'd love to work in this area to really help facilitate the transition to a renewable energy economy. So thank you very much for watching. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen.